Good morning, and thank you for attending the fifth webinar in our series on Extranet Security Optimization with Premier Point Solutions. In this series, we plan to take about 20 minutes to show you some of the features that will help you secure your SharePoint Extranet. Also, as a reminder, each of our videos in this series will be made available for viewing through GoToMeeting and YouTube so that you can share or revisit the information we're providing. I am Mark Lewis, a support engineer at Premier Point Solutions, and I'll be your presenter today. So how can we make sure that an external user can no longer access any extranet content, even across multiple extranet sites? So before we answer that, let's talk about how to manage an extranet user's account. Let's see what tools are available for doing that. Probably the most common reason an extranet user's account needs to be disabled, deleted, or modified is because the user no longer works for the company, or they have changed positions within the company. This could mean that they need to be disabled or deleted as an extranet user. Another way that you as an administrator can manage extranet users' accounts is by setting up account activity and expiration policies. So in the case that you're not notified of a user leaving or changing positions within the company, or maybe they no longer are working on a project with your company, then those policies would automatically disable an extranet user's account if they've not logged in within a certain amount of time. In today's webinar, we will show you how to make sure an extranet user no longer has access to extranet content or multiple extranet sites when using Exeamor Extranet Collaboration Manager. So the two primary things that we'll be talking about today is how to disable or delete an extranet user account, and number two, how to set the activity and expiration policies to automatically disable an account. So for number one, how to disable or delete an extranet user account, there's three primary things we'll be looking at: removing an extranet user from a role or security group, disabling an extranet user, and deleting an extranet user. So to do that, let's go look at our demo environment, and we'll show you how to set that up with the Exeamor. So if we go in here, we have two sites that we have pulled up, two separate sites. We'll go ahead and log in as Edward this morning. We'll show that Edward can actually log into these sites before we start making any changes. Okay, so Edward's in our Acme AW Bytes root site. Let's go ahead and log him into our Acme site too. Okay, so Edward is actually, he was able to log into the Acme sales site that has some files linked to it. He's also able to log into the AW Bytes root site because Acme is actually working with AW Bytes right now on a contract that they have. So let's do this. Since we've shown that, we'll go and close out of these. Let's log out. And let's go ahead and go to our Start in Private. Let's go back to AW Bytes, our root site. We'll log in as an administrator. Okay, so we've logged in as administrator, no problem. Let's go and go up to our gear icon here, Site Settings. You'll see in the drop down here that we have an extranet management, which is part of the Exeamor tool that we have. We'll go to our extranet users, and we see Edward. We'll select Edward. Let's go to our drop down here and view roles. Okay, so we see that Edward is in the Acme top secret files. So let's go up here to roles again in our top ribbon. Let's select that. and remove user from row or from the rows. So let's do that. We'll click OK. So we've now removed Edward from that particular row, which is linked to the Acme site. So in that particular case, let's go ahead and try to log in. We'll close this out, of course. Let's go back to our Acme site. Let's try to log in as Edward here. And we see when we try to go to the site now, it says you need permissions to access the site. So just by taking him out of that particular row, he does not have access to the Acme site anymore. But in this particular case, we didn't completely disable his account or delete his account. We kept him with the AW Bikes. So let's sign in there. So we do see that he still has access to the AW Bikes root site. But in this particular case, okay, we've been able to make sure he did not have access to Acme, but we found out that Edward is no longer going to be with the company. So we want to actually disable or delete his account. So let's go in here. Let's log out again. Let's go sign in as an administrator. And we'll go back up to our gear icon site settings. Now in this particular case, when we go to Extranet users, we have a couple of options here. We can select Edward. We go up to our tab at the top, our ribbon. We can actually deny Edward so that he cannot log in, or we can delete Edward. In this particular case, we're going to just go ahead and delete him out of the system. Click OK. Now we see that Edward is no longer in the list of Extranet users that we have, but just so we can show what's happened here, let's sign out. Let's go back to our AW Bikes and let's try to log in as Edward. And you'll see very quickly it says invalid username or password, meaning that he is no longer part of the system we have. So we're able to show that it's very easy with the Exeam to go in and pretty much micromanage how you give permissions to your users or how you delete them or disable them. We'll go back now to our show. So next is how to use Exeam to set the account activity and expiration policies to automatically disable an account. And again, in this particular case, this is a situation where maybe you as an administrator do not know that somebody's leaving the company. Maybe they've changed positions. But you want to have a structure in place so that if they're not logging in or using the site, they're going to automatically be disabled from using it after a certain amount of time. So let's show you how we can do that. So we'll go back to our site here, go back to our demo. And of course, within our central administration, if we go ahead and go down to our general application settings, and you'll see that Exeam or Extranet Collaboration Manager has its own tool that is built in here. We'll go to Expiration Policies. We'll have to select our web application, which is our AW Bikes. And then in the drop-down, you'll see under Account Expiration Policies, we have it set at 180 days. That'll disable after that amount of time. There's a notification sent out 3 days before the expiration, and it repeats every day after that 3 days. Again, you have many options on here on how you'd like to set that up. But again, it makes it very easy for an administrator so that you're not necessarily having to go back and recheck to see if somebody works for your company, somebody's working on a project with your company. It's already set in place, so if they're not logged in and use the site in a certain amount of time, they will be disabled and logged out and receive emails letting them know that. At this time, we'll take any questions and try to answer those for you if we can. Again, if you had anything that you're thinking about during the actual webinar that you have questions about, we'll be glad to answer those for you. If it's something where we need to give you more detail, we'll be glad to send you an email with a little bit more detail with the answer if need be. And also a reminder, again, this is the 5th of our 7-part series. On 4/4, April the 4th, we'll actually have another series coming up. How can we make sure authorized users cannot share with unauthorized users? So we'd love to have you here to be able to watch that webinar also when it comes up. And we thank you for being with us today. If you have any questions, you can contact us at premierpointsolutions.com, or you can contact me directly at mark@premierpointsolutions.com, and we'll be glad to get you any information that you need or answer any questions that you have. Thank you and have a great day.